In just 12 months, the coronavirus pandemic has set the cause of gender equality back by 36 years, according to the World Economic Forum's latest gender gap report. With thousands of job losses and growing double shift responsibilities of work and care, 2020 has rolled back years of economic advancements for women. Earlier this week, I spoke to Veselina Racheva. She's the insight lead at the World Economic Forum's Center for New Economy and Society and explains how governments and policymakers can undo what seems like a step back for closing the gender gap.
It seems to be that we have reached a point where many of the gains that could be made in gender parity quite easily with the current mechanisms have been made. And a lot of the economies that are leading the pack have consistently pushed these boundaries. However, now we need renewed efforts, especially where gender gaps have stagnated and have become ingrained.
Now, the gender gap has narrowed in two of those four key measures in educational attainment and in health. So why is it not driving more equality in terms of economy or in terms of politics?
That's a phenomenal question. And in reality, the closing of gender gaps within education should really be driving the closing of gender gaps in employment. But the reason that's not happening in many ways is because hiring is stuck, because the way that women are promoted and progressed is stuck, because labor force participation is stagnated by the dual shift that many women are doing both at home and in the labor market. And in the context of COVID, this is only getting worse with a lot of care infrastructure being disrupted by the pandemic.
Now, in the recommendations in that report, it says that countries should promote gender-sensitive recovery strategies. Explain to us, what does that mean?
It means very simple things. On the one hand side, we know that the economies that do really well in gender parity have the right care infrastructure to make sure that families can depend on professional support to help look after young people and elderly. And that it doesn't depend on somebody at home doing the work primarily in an unpaid manner and disproportionately falling on women. So we know the care ecosystem needs to be strengthened in many, many economies. The provision of paid parental leave for both fathers and mothers needs to be strengthened in many economies. In a reality, that is a very easy thing to put in place, and it is also a job generator. So creating more care jobs that actually support communities and economies is fundamentally a gender-sensitive recovery strategy. Another aspect is to really think with female-dominated sectors. How are they impacted? Are the different measures being put in place going to have equal effect and equal support on those different sectors? And actually the third aspect there is understanding the level of damage that has been done to women's labor force participation and men's labor force participation. When we looked at the data, it was very clear that this has been very unequal across industries and across countries. So we really need to look at the numbers and understand, are there gender gaps that have reopened, and put in place redressive action